Say the word treat out loud in your house right now and watch what happens. Something moves, an ear rotates, a head comes up off a cushion 3 rooms away. But say, get off the counter to that same animal in that same house, and you may as well be talking to the furniture. And most people land on the obvious explanation. My cat doesn't understand me. Here's the thing though, there's actual science on this now, and it says something far more insulting. Your cat understood you perfectly. They heard the word, they processed the word, and then they made a decision about it. And the decision was no. Hi everyone, I'm Leo Bennett, your neighborhood cat guy. Today we're going through 5 words your cat genuinely understands according to the research. Which ones actually land, why some of them get ignored on purpose, and what you can do about it. And number 3 is the one that changes how you'll think about every argument you have ever lost to your cat, which, let's be honest, is most of them. Because here's the truth underneath all of it. Your cat is understanding far more than they let on, and almost nobody ever hands you the translation. That's exactly why I wrote the Happy Cat Manual. Everything I've learned about reading cats all in one place over at leobennettsecrets.com. Go take a look if you want more happy years with your cat. That's all. Now, before we get to the 5 words, we need to clear something up. Do cats actually understand words the way dogs do? According to a 2019 study out of the University of Tokyo, cats can recognize and distinguish human words. They simply don't react the way dogs do. And that difference isn't about intelligence, it's about history. Dogs were bred over thousands of years specifically to follow human commands. Cats evolved as solitary hunters. They never developed that same social dependency on us. But that is not the same as being clueless. It's very nearly the opposite. Think of it like a classroom. The dog is the eager student with their hand permanently in the air. The cat is the kid slouched at the back, apparently paying no attention whatsoever, who turns out to have absorbed every single word. Atsuko Saito, a Japanese researcher in feline behavior, found that cats recognize their own names even when a total stranger says them. And it goes further than names. Cats associate specific words with actions, with emotions, with routines. The mechanism is different from a dog's though, and this is the key to the whole video. Dogs respond to verbal cues and commands. Cats associate words with experiences. If a word reliably leads to something that matters to them, food, affection, a door opening, they will pick up on it. But because they don't run on social approval the way dogs do, they may show you absolutely nothing on the outside even when they've understood completely. So keep that in mind for everything that follows, because it's the thing most owners get wrong. Understanding and responding are 2 entirely separate events in a cat. A dog collapses them into one. A cat keeps them very deliberately apart. And once you stop reading silence as ignorance, your cat starts making a great deal more sense. Right. Word number 1. Their name. This one seems obvious, but it's been properly tested. A study published in Scientific Reports looked at how cats react to their own name compared to other random words. And even when the name was spoken by a stranger, the cats responded, flicking an ear, turning the head, a twitch of the tail. So your cat is prioritizing their name as an important sound. Whether they choose to do anything about it depends entirely on their mood. Unlike a dog, who's eager to please, a cat reacts when a cat wants to react. Here's something to try tonight. Call your cat's name 3 times, once in a neutral tone, once in a happy voice, and once in an annoyed one. Watch whether the reaction changes, and watch the ears especially, because the ears move before the cat decides whether to bother with the rest of it. Most cats respond best to a soft, higher-pitched voice, the same one we all naturally slip into when we talk to a baby. Which means that if your cat has been ignoring you, the problem may not be the word at all. You might just need to sweeten the tone. Word number 2, the food words. If your cat appears to develop supernatural hearing the instant you say treat or dinner, you are not imagining it. Researchers have found that cats link specific sounds to rewards. So food, eat, treat, those trigger a near-instant reaction. The way they learn it is classical conditioning. Every time you say treat and then produce food, their brain strengthens the link between that sound and that reward. Do it enough and the word alone lights them up. And they're not just tracking your tone. Cats can recognize these words spoken in different tones, and plenty of them learn the sound of specific containers, the particular rattle of one bag, the click of one cupboard. So here's your test. Say treat in a completely different tone from your usual one, flat or bored or in a silly voice. Some cats respond mainly to tone and context, and those ones will hesitate. The sound isn't quite matching the file they've got. Others recognize the word itself and will come regardless of how you dress it up. That tells you which kind of listener you're living with. And it's worth knowing that this cuts both ways. If a food word gets used and no food appears, the link weakens. Cats keep score. Say treat to lure them into a carrier once, and you'll spend the next month paying for it. And now, word number 3. This is the one I really want you to hear, because it reframes everything. No. No. They understand negative commands considerably better than we give them credit for. Here's the catch, and I want to be very clear about it. They understand it. They simply don't care. Because a cat is running an entirely different value system from a dog. Dogs have been bred for thousands of years to want our approval. Cats are, more or less, still wild animals wearing a very convincing furry suit. So when a dog hears no, the social cost lands. When a cat hears no, something else happens. They weigh it up, cost versus benefit. If continuing the behavior is more rewarding or more fun than stopping, they will continue. They prioritize their own desires over your approval, because your approval was never the currency they were built to trade in. And here's what's actually happening in that head when you say it. First, they read your tone, and they absolutely know you're not happy. Then, they weigh the likely consequence against the reward of carrying on. And then, this is the part that gets me, they make a conscious choice about whether to listen. You've seen this. Think of the cat with a paw already on the counter who hears no and pauses, just for a second, without looking away from you. That pause is not hesitation. That is the calculation running. And it gets better. A 2023 study from the University of Helsinki found that cats who regularly ignore no actually score higher on problem-solving tests. Read that again. The ones giving you the most trouble aren't being difficult. They're demonstrating how clever they are. So what do you do with that? You stop treating no as a command and start treating it as an opening offer. Instead of just saying no, redirect them to something they are allowed to do, and then reward them for taking it. Off the counter and onto the cat tree, and the good thing happens over there. Because your cat understands no perfectly well. They're waiting for you to make a better offer. Cats do respond most strongly to a quiet, disappointed tone rather than a raised voice, but even that comes with a condition. It only lands if they've bonded with you first. Your disappointment has to be worth something to them before it can work as a signal at all. Word number 4. Come here. Dreams of mastering. Researchers have found that cats process this one completely differently from dogs. A dog is naturally wired to respond to the social cue. A cat needs a reason. They're like tiny freelance contractors. Before they'll cross a room, they want to know what's in it for them. Dr. Sarah Ellis from International Cat Care found that cats can learn to respond to come here with up to 80% reliability. 80%. That's a properly high number, and it should tell you the phrase isn't the problem. The problem is what you've trained it to mean. So think honestly for a second about when you say come here to your cat. If you're like most people, it's when you want them to stop doing something, or when it's time for the carrier, or the pill, or the nail trim. You've spent years teaching that phrase to mean something unpleasant is about to happen, and then wondering why they don't come. So here's the fix, and it's simple, though it takes patience. Start using come here only when something genuinely good is about to happen. Dinner, a fresh can of tuna, their favorite toy already in your hand. And crucially, stop using it for the bad stuff. Go and get them for the nail trim in silence. What builds over time is what scientists call anticipatory behavior. Eventually, they'll respond to come here even when they can't see the reward, purely because they've learned that good things tend to follow. It's the cat equivalent of thinking, well, this human's been reliable so far, might as well see what they want. And word number 5, which I think is the most surprising of the lot, good job, or good kitty, or whatever your version is, because it turns out our cats may care about our praise considerably more than we ever realized. In 2021, researchers at Oregon State University found something that genuinely startled the cat behavior world. Many cats actually preferred human interaction and praise over food. For an animal we assume is entirely transactional, that's a remarkable result. And it goes deeper. The study found cats are extraordinarily tuned in to the emotional state carried in our voices. When you say, "good kitty," they aren't only hearing the words, they're reading your emotional state, your body language, even small changes in your face. Dr. Kristen Vitale, who led that work, found that cats who received consistent verbal praise alongside physical affection formed stronger bonds with their owners and were more likely to seek out human interaction afterward. So every good kitty isn't just a noise you make. It's a small deposit into the relationship. What you're building is what scientists call a positive emotional feedback loop. Your cat does something lovely. You say, "good job," in that particular voice we all have. And your cat learns that making you happy results in them feeling good too. Try this one. Start each day by saying "good morning" to your cat in the same tone every time. Consistent morning interactions genuinely set the tone for the communication between the two of you for the rest of the day. And here's the detail that ought to keep you honest. Cats are so tuned into praise that they can tell the difference between when you're actually pleased with them and when you're just saying the words. You can't fake it. They're reading the state behind the sound, not the sound. So let me pull the 5 together. Their name, which they know and answer to on their own schedule. The food words, learned through pure association. No, which they understand completely and then overrule. Come here, which works about as well as you've trained it to. And good job, which may matter to them more than dinner does. And notice what actually runs through all 5. Not one of them works because the word carries authority. They work because the word reliably predicts an experience. That's the whole system. Your cat isn't obeying language. They're keeping score of what your noises tend to mean and acting on the results. Which means every word you use with your cat is either being reinforced or being devalued every single day. Treat works because you've never once lied about it. Come here is broken in most houses for the exact same reason, running in reverse. So here's the one thing I want you to carry out of tonight. Stop thinking about it as whether your cat obeys you, and start thinking about whether your words are worth listening to. Keep your promises to your cat, and the vocabulary builds itself. And every cat ends up with their own private word too. Some phrase that means something only to the two of you. The word that gets them off the windowsill. The nonsense name that gets a response the real one never does. So tell me in the comments, what's your cat's one unique word, the one only they respond to? Thank you for watching. Go and say something you actually intend to keep.